me ask you, I mean, you've obviously have been following this very closely. I mean, the judge told Trump your continued violations of this court's lawful order threaten to interfere with the administration of justice and constant attacks, which constitute a direct attack on the rule of law. Now, mind you, the prosecution is not asking for jail time. Would you jail him despite the prosecution not even asking for it?
Well, thank you for having me on. Before I even answer that, let me just say that Judge Merchan is being very deliberate. He's also being cautious, and that's where I differ with him. I do not understand why he is being so cautious now. And he said something in court I wouldn't have said had I been presiding over this. He said to Donald Trump, "You're a really important person, and it's really something if I have to lock you up." And at the same time, as you just reported, he said, "You, Mr. Important Person, are basically a threat to the rule of law." So those two things conflict, in my view. If you are not following orders, if you're breaking them 10 times, and in this instance, because of New York law, the fine does not fit the crime. The law needs to be changed to enhance that. But that being said, there's nothing left to do. The fines have been done. It's not a deterrence. He keeps doing this stuff. So it's enough already. And another thing, if I were presiding over this case and saw a defendant do what Donald Trump does in court when the judge speaks about this directly to him, Donald Trump frowns. He shakes his head as if, I don't want to hear this. Any other judge would look at this and say, you know what? That's enough. Time to go. So he is disrespecting the judge when the judge is actually trying to explain why I'm not going down that road. And even Donald Trump is rejecting that. So you've mentioned, well, yeah, there's a holding cell. It's not really a cell. It's a room where people sit in, defendants sit in. So yeah, that's not jail. There's house arrest. That's not jail. So other people who violate the law by ignoring a judge's order with regard to contempt proceedings, they sit in a jail. They put on jail clothing.
I hear
They are
you.
handcuffed.
Well, Judge, on that point, I have to tell you, you're right. I've sat in many courtrooms where the judge has had the equivalent of the mom fix your face to the defendant who is smirking or reacting in some way, and there are consequences for that. But just to be clear for the audience, the additional violations the judge found predated the order for the initial $9,000 in fines. And then it said, look, anything going past this moment in time essentially could result in that incarceration. But is it all or nothing? I mean, talk to me about the potential for a graduated jail sentence. There could be an hour during lunch. There could be after that day. There could be for a night. I mean, it does necessarily mean that he would have to serve the duration of the trial in contempt, right?
Yeah, you're exactly right. If I were presiding over this trial, and if I decided say there's another contempt violation, and you're correct, these were all happened before the judge said you're going to go to jail. But the judge could do this if there's another violation, and trust me, Laura, there's going to be another violation. It's coming. In which case, I could impose jail and say I'm going to stay the punishment, the jail sentence, stay meaning hold off on it until the end of the trial. And as you continue to misbehave, I'm going to consider adding more jail time till
And the
we get
purpose
to
of
the
that,
point
Your
where
Honor,
it's
is
now
what?
time for me to sentence you.
The purpose that you don't,
Say
you
that
don't
again,
want to,
please.
the purpose of that would be not to disrupt the flow of the trial, and he would have to just sort of at the end of it tack on.
E-
Well, let me ask you on that
Exactly.
point.
And it would
the
hang over Trump's head.
Yeah, I absolutely, I understand that particular philosophy. Let me ask you, though, two quick points. I wonder if you're concerned when you're talking about punishment, given what Trump has said, is this truly going to be punishment or an opportunity for perhaps martyrdom? Would you consider that point about jailing him? And the second part, of course, is this judge has already said that he is not going to, if Trump takes a stand, he is not going to allow the violations to go before the jury. That they won't know that he has these contempt violations available because he thought, look, this is a jury that's in front of me every single day. They have, respect for me. Me having that particular moment would be prejudicial. How would you rule?
All right. So first question was, he'll be a martyr. He's going to do whatever he does, no matter what the judge orders. But the issue becomes this: if you're a judge It shouldn't matter. It must not matter what the mob is saying. When you make a ruling, it's based on what happens in your courtroom. So the judge should not be concerned at all. If you get judges who start making decisions, but first checking how it's going to be received out there, then we don't have an independent judiciary. Your second question, what was your second point?
Would you consider, I mean, when you're thinking about, and I appreciate you taking the time to answer both, when you're looking at the decision to have a jury know about the violations if he
Yes.
takes the stand?
Right. Right. So the contempt is separate from the trial. So if Donald Trump were to testify, he would be instructed, we're not going there. No one will ask you any questions about the gag order. However, because he cannot control his mouth, it is likely if he were to testify, he would probably say something. Well, this crooked judge has gagged me, in which case he's opened the door. And in that case, prosecution can go right in and show how he's made statements that have threatened the jury and threatened witnesses. So it's all up to him.
Another peril potentially for somebody willing to take the stand. Judge